വാട്സപ്പ് എന്ന ഈ ചെറിയ സംഭാഷണ പരമ്പരയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. കോവിഡ്-19 മഹാമാരിയും അതേ തുടർന്ന് ലോകമെമ്പാടും ഉണ്ടായ ലോക്ക്ഡൗണും നമ്മൾക്ക് ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും സമ്മാനിച്ചത് വളരെ വ്യത്യസ്തമായ അനുഭവങ്ങളാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഈ അനുഭവങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റവും ഭംഗിയായി ലോകത്തിന് മുമ്പിൽ അവതരിപ്പിച്ചത് നമ്മുടെ കലാകാരന്മാരാണ്. അതിൽ സിനിമാ പ്രവർത്തകരുണ്ട്, ഗായകരുണ്ട്, ചിത്രകാരന്മാരുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെ ഒരാളാണ് ഇന്ന് വാട്സപ്പിൽ നമ്മളുടെ അതിഥിയായി എത്തുന്നത്. പ്രശസ്ത ചലച്ചിത്ര താരവും അതേപോലെ നർത്തകിയുമായ ലക്ഷ്മി ഗോപാലസ്വാമി. ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ കാലത്തെ തൻ്റെ അനുഭവങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും മുന്നോട്ടുള്ള ജീവിതത്തെക്കുറിച്ചും ഈ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ സ്വന്തം ജീവിതത്തിൽ വരുത്തിയ കാഴ്ചപ്പാടുകളിലെ മാറ്റങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും ലക്ഷ്മി ഗോപാലസ്വാമി നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നു. നമസ്തേ, ഗുഡ് മോർണിംഗ് ലക്ഷ്മി ജി. താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച് ഫോർ ബീയിങ് വിത്ത് അസ് ടുഡേ.
Thank you. Good morning. Likewise, Rajesh. It's been a pleasure.
Let me first ask you about the lockdown itself. For a person like you, a film star, life means a busy schedule from morning till night. So all of a sudden this lockdown happened. Everything came to a standstill. How did you take it, especially in the first few days? Was it stressful, or was it a pleasant surprise, a blessing in disguise?
Very honestly, I anticipated not a lockdown but a slowdown definitely, because programs started getting pushed. I had a few trips abroad. They were getting cancelled. I mean, they were getting postponed indefinitely. I knew something big is happening. And though that time they had like at what do you say, Kerala, there were only 3 cases. And for that itself, they were postponing 3 cases and they were postponing events. My last performance was at Guruvayur. I came back and then and I had declared a lockdown for myself because I knew this is holiday time. No preparation for anything. Mental holiday actually, more than anything. So I started spring cleaning, and so for me, actually, it's been a welcome move. For me, I have enjoyed this lockdown and this new way of living. I actually am enjoying
From day one onwards, there was no stress
From
at all.
day one. It's a complete lockdown. It was some thrill and some excitement, and there is some fear, and it is like an adventure movie. It is like some, so I was enjoying the whole experience, and so now only in the last week, 10 days, maybe a little more, I'm trying to have a routine. I watched a lot of movies initially. The excitement of not having to get up for anything. So I was binging on television and, getting all kinds of ingredients and I don't cook, but getting my brother and my mother and all to cook. But and cleaning cleaning the house, etc. But after that, it was a good space mentally for a month to declutter the mind. There is so much noise. We're used to so much noise that to unwind took me more than a month. To actually unwind took me more than a month. And so now life has slowed down a lot, but I'm relishing this new normal actually. Though I miss, I'm practicing only a little bit. I want to dance more though.
True. We will be definitely returning to normal life, at least the new normal life, very soon. But what I want to ask you is about the experience. Will this experience stay with you in the life ahead? Will it make any changes within you in dealing with the life ahead?
It should, because a lot of learning has happened during this time. One is that we don't need to keep buying so much. I would talk about consumerism, but I never realized I myself am a big consumerist till I have the lockdown experience. I haven't, very rarely I'm putting some lipstick and kajal and getting ready these days. Even that is like something new for me now. It has become like something unusual. It was my daily routine otherwise. It has become unusual now. And I haven't used so many of my saris, so many of my good things. And I've just been living out of 3 t-shirts, 2 track pants, 2 salwars, 1 salwar actually. I have to go and do grocery shopping with a mask, which I enjoy. Going to our vegetable store, and I enjoy that experience. And I realized this is more than enough. I'm very calm about living very frugal and spending money on things that actually matter, essentials. So I'm very feeling quite relaxed. I have to carry this next, and because there is so much peer pressure, societal pressure without us knowing, ads. So I have to be very conscious to hold on to this.
What we discussed so far is the brighter side of the lockdown, but there is a crisis, a big crisis world over. Life has been hit very hard. In your industry also it is the same. Many people, for them the livelihood, daily livelihood has been hit. People have gone without wages. It's a big crisis. How do you see this crisis as an artist?
Definitely, Rajesh, we are very privileged. I understand I'm in a very privileged position that I don't have loans and I don't have to worry about food coming on my plate. And I can only do what little, I mean, I have had a couple of people in the industry, it could be production guys who have called me and asked for some financial help. I have done that. I don't know what else to say, because the only constant is change. And now I'm beginning to realize on a larger level that maybe this is what we all deserved. This is as a pay. This is what everybody deserved as a pay scale to sustain. Perhaps we were business guys and some artists and many, are overpaid, perhaps, looking at the current scenario. So we have to aim for fair distribution of wealth. And I really don't know how to answer this question, because only time will tell. But I think we should have very strong socialist principles where the basics are taken care of. For that, I would love to congratulate where the basics are taken care of. So this worry about whether I can live or not should not be there in any human being. At the same time, medical facilities and your basic food should be taken care of for every citizen of India. And beyond that is your motivation and your luck and your success and whatever. But having said that, I must congratulate Kerala. I've heard great stories, and I know how everybody meticulously, nobody went hungry, unlike many, many other states. It speaks of a very, that way, it speaks of the culture of the people itself. Not just the government, they had great political will, but even the people.
Yeah, just now you said about the artists being overpaid, some of them maybe. But in Kerala, you must be aware, many of the organizations, especially the producers organization, they have already taken up this issue and asked the artists to reduce their fee so that we tide over this crisis.
Overpaid? See, I'm not targeting any specific person, but what I mean by overpaid is that, like, if you look at our society itself, world over, not just India, not just one city, the world over is full of disparity. And I think this pandemic teaches us that we have to have a more equal, have more equality. And if you look at, I think if you look at the uprising in the West, the uprising here, whether it was a Black Lives Matter, or whether it is even something as recent as, and people voicing out, I think there is going to be positive change. So I think people voluntarily will do more charity, will do more, So I'm talking about that. I hope there's going to be a shift in the mindset of people, in the mindset of people who make policies, etc.
You see some inner awakening happening among the people because of this crisis.
Because I think this crisis gave some of us who didn't have the worry of food and survival crisis, who didn't have that, gave us an opportunity to get in touch with ourselves. There's so much noise around and so much you're running in life that you never had the opportunity to know what you like, what you need. And I'm not talking about just materialistic things. Even in terms of your fame quotient or in terms of achievement, why are you doing what you're doing? And I think if you haven't used this time to think, this time is very conducive for that kind of meditation and going inward. And I'm sure it makes you go inward. But the critical thing is that from here, environmentally, hopefully, we're going to be different. We have to take a lot of lessons from this and move ahead. Even when we move back to normal, it has to be a new normal with different policies, different mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, with this crisis, everything is going to change, especially in your film industry also, things are going to change, everything. The rules are being changed. Maybe from fixing the shooting schedule to releasing the film. Many films, as you know, are being released on OTT platform. In near future, even theaters may become irrelevant. My question is that, since it is happening, is our film industry ready to accept and implement these changes? Are we ready? All over the world is happening, but what about Malayalam film industry?
More than ready to, I think circumstances will force us to face this situation. But somehow deep inside, I feel theatre experience cannot be substituted. People will eventually go back to the theatres. It will take time. So I just hope theatre owners will have the sustainability power, will have the power to hold on. Because I don't see theatres becoming irrelevant. Of course, people will sit at home, but it's not like going to theatre, buying popcorn and having that collective experience. It's not just it's to sit together and to watch something is at least 10 times more pleasurable. I don't think theatres will become irrelevant. I don't think so. There is going to be a lot of losses, business losses, as we know. So many theatres may die, but I think I feel multiplexes will stay. I think so. Though apparently they have, some people have declared bankruptcy and all that I heard in the West. Some big theatre chains, I've heard that. But I think eventually.
Yeah, you are now part and parcel of Malayalam film industry. As you know, in the past few years, in the last couple of years, there have been many controversies in the industry itself. Some people have come up with very serious allegations. There is even a platform called Women in Cinema Collective. They have taken up some issues, especially regarding the challenges and problems faced by young female artists. Things like casting couch and all. What do you think? What do you feel about such issues in the industry? Have you ever come across such unpleasant experiences in your life, in your beginning years? Or have you met someone who had to undergo such situations?
For me, funnily enough, I have not faced anything like this in the film industry. But having said that, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, very late in my career, in my life, actually it should have happened long ago, that I have had organizers, especially abroad, twice from the Gulf countries, who have hinted at things that are not appropriate. And I was completely shocked. I was like, how dare you speak to me like this? So I immediately sent a message saying that your number has been, that's all it takes. Your number has been reported. That is it. And they chicken out and say, sorry, madam, we didn't mean this. I have a poor family, we are very connected, madam. The thing is, that is the funny part. I have been very protected in the film industry. You would never know how people outside, maybe they have a stereotypical image of a woman artist, a film woman artist, I'm saying. That maybe it's like a lottery ticket and they just try putting their bait and seeing, you never know, or people who don't know about it. Because I got offended. I said, I've been here for more than 15 years, in fact 20. Say that was 15 plus. People would have known your reputation by now. Word spreads about you. How dare they, even hint at something like that? So, of course, and I can't even imagine many of the other girls. I'm sure I have not, I don't recollect. Yeah, of course, I think some women artists, when we talk, have also told me that maybe not directly, but subtly hinted like me. I don't recollect right now, but we girls talk. The good thing is we girls share, and women in cinema collective. The good thing about it is there are a lot of men in it also. And the good thing is there is a voice given to all this. It's not brushed under the carpet, and rightly so, because you have come there for a job, and that doesn't mean that you are sexually available, right? And if there is something where there is people have liked each other, or if there is it is something mutual between the two, I will not comment on that. But what I will comment on is that this does not, this you cannot use that as an unwritten clause in your work job. And this is not film industry, it is everywhere. But because film industry, unfortunately or fortunately, attracts is in the limelight because of media and because of the nature of the job, it gets highlighted. But I think film artists can be a huge voice for this problem for every other profession, for every other woman.
Okay, I am really surprised that something like this could happen to a person like you, a well-established artist like you. My question is, if this can happen to you, such an unpleasant experience can happen to you, what will be the plight of very young girls who are coming, who are newcomers to this industry?
And let me tell you, happened to me how? Via text. No, so I tell you, no talking, a text message saying that, madam, very respectfully, saying, madam, we were told of other benefits. Now, the moment I saw that word, I freaked out. I called Amma Association. I told them that this number, I've got this kind of a thing. You ban whatever, you have to take action, or you ban them, or do whatever you want. But I'm just telling you because I need to tell my, you know, as artists, where do we go? Not that I was sitting in Bangalore, there somewhere in Dubai, but I'm saying, and I sent so many strong messages saying that actresses are not sleaze material, and at the same time, you want to have a successful show. It doesn't run with sleaze, but with good artists. So good caliber artists will perform well and get you the money, not all this. So don't you dare. So I took it in my hands, and there ended the matter. It was one word on the SMS, and that they were out of the scene for me. But that, but let me tell you, that everybody can do. Now, you can't say, now we can't at the same time say, what will these Pavangal some night? No, I don't agree with that at all. You have to have, that much strength, and you cannot, you cannot, then if you then go do something else. I'm not saying it might be your calling, but there are certain things that are, there are certain, I don't even want to call it values, because it's each to their own. Each person has their comfort zone. I don't even want to use the word value, their comfort zone. If you are comfortable with it, you, first of all, what, this is wrong, but I'm saying otherwise, it's between two people. But I would tell every girl that don't think that if you don't do films, you're going to die. You're going to have 10 other options which might give you a better quality of life. Just because you're talented, you might be, but you don't have to associate. And if you put your foot down, then the right people will come to you. You concentrate on a craft, and right people will come to you, is what I feel.
Yeah, what is your take on the young female artists coming to the film industry nowadays? In your time, I mean, people like you, seniors like you, and very seniors like you all were accomplished artists. You had a cultural background before coming to the film industry. But nowadays, it's not the same. Young female artists, they straight away come to the films. How do you rate them? How do you view their performance? What is your comment on them?
I'm not very much in touch, but the few that I've watched, I think they're all very natural, extremely confident, and but watching their exposure is so high compared to us, because they're all the mobile generation. We've seen no mobile to mobile, no internet, no, I have grown up from the black and white television era to now. They've all grown up with with the whole world on their fingertips. So the exposure is that much more. They're all very intelligent. They're quite, what do you say, very smart. But I can only tell them one more thing is that be open to a lot more in life. And I very strongly feel that an education is a must. The college experience or some institutional experience, whether it's a fine art college or whether it is your regular degree college, that experience is very important. The way to get knowledge, because it opens your mind up. See, today, even I don't even know whether I've been successful. I don't think so really, because maybe I could have done a lot more movies. I haven't been smart on PR. I have not been smart. I've not been very proactive. But having said that, I emotionally am not completely dependent on cinema. Though that identity and that fame and that is sometimes I feel it's little, it is, I've got more than my share. I feel like they've given me much more fame and attention and position than I deserve, but it doesn't matter. But even then, I just feel that I have a small distance in my mind between the profession or whatever and me. I love to dance, and that is I have the wall, and that is my protection emotionally. Because if you just think I have to make it in this, and if I don't, I mean, my life is cinema, I breathe. Yeah, it's very nice to talk all that, but you better be ready for a plan B and a plan C and a plan D later. You know, there are so many talented people who have not got their due or have not been given work. There are so many, if I may say so, quite mediocre artists also who've been getting so many of chances. There is an X factor in this. So you have to be very practical. So an education will give you will give you a certain happy mind.
That's a very important point. Only a person, that is a very important point. Only a person with a strong philosophical base can express like this. You need to really practice a sense of detachment wherever you are. In your case, I think your education played an important role in shaping up your views and your thoughts. You studied in a Krishnamurti Foundation School, and many of our viewers may not know. It's a school that practices a different approach towards life and education. How did your education play a vital role in shaping up your
Thank you for this question, because a large part of my personality is because of the foundation I got in my school. I studied in a J. Krishnamurti school called the Valley School. It was a branch near Bangalore. It was then near Bangalore, now it has become Bangalore, but 12 kilometers away. So to put it in a nutshell, and I must tell you, Rajesh, that my uncle started the school in Bangalore, my father's brother. He was an ardent fan and admirer of J. Krishnamurti, and they wanted to have a study center here. But he said that if you have a school, your not just your teaching, your thoughts will be much more effectively given to the world. So I grew up in a school, 100-acre campus, in nature, among, if I may say, among trees, lakes, snakes, frogs, lizards. I have grown up in nature, and our teachers were always encouraging us to question. And they put in these seeds in our mind. What happens to you when you get very attached to fame? What happens because society is giving us very strong messages? And you know, there is this, especially this pressure to earn a lot of money. Question that. Nothing wrong in earning a lot of money. Why not? You like your luxuries. But what happens to you if that doesn't happen? You have to have that little bit of distance in your mind. So my school has encouraged thinking. So whether flop or successful, we have all pursued our own paths and been quite happy and surprisingly fairly run along quite well because we didn't have exams and people thought we're going to be big failures in life, but none of us have actually been. I mean, the other director, Raja Menon, if you know Raja Menon, who directed Airlift, he was my senior in school. I mean, 1 year senior in school actually. So Raja and we all grew up. So there is different people who have all been very successful. There's another boy who has become a professional in writing children's books. These are interests that have all flourished very well.
Yeah, that's a very important point that you are making. In our society, in our country, education has become just like a rat race. Children are put into such tremendous pressure, and you see many kids committing even suicide. So the system has to definitely change. It needs to change.
Definitely, because education is giving you that strength to think and to think for yourself, to be original. And I think that's what if education means is not about, I know people realize that, but in fact, it's more than teachers. From what I hear from my friends who have children growing up, and more than teachers, it is the parents who need to be educated. Don't expect the world out of your child. Let him grow or her grow organically. They will figure out. And let them be happy, because I feel a happy childhood is the biggest foundation. And I have had a very carefree childhood. So, life is, nothing hits you very deep. I mean, for me, nothing hits me so deep that I feel my life is gone. Never.
Yeah, that's true. Lakshmi, you said that you started from the black and white TV era, but during this lockdown, you were an instant hit all over the social media with your program Ghazal and Ghungru that you did with singer Gayatri. How did that happen? Was it preconceived, pre-planned? How did it happen, and how do you feel about the response?
I'm very excited. You know, the other thing I must tell you, Rajesh, that this lockdown is getting me to learn things, and I'm so excited about learning. I feel like a student. I have the time to be a student all over again, and I think that's been so pleasurable. Including, let me tell you, lockdown. I'm just talking about positivity here. I have this habit now of watching some wonderful YouTube video. Either it could be on productivity, on time management, or on learning how to simplify your email, or on get some small thing. And I actually take notes down. Or it could be about some relationships, whatever it is. I just serve something in the morning, like a class. I actually write notes down. I have a book where I check what I've learned every day. And this Gayatri called me out of the blue after a long time. We've been great friends for a long time. So after a long time, she called and she said, lockdown, everybody has the time now to get in touch with one another. That's the other thing to remember. So I said, hey, Gayu, we should let's do one chat, because we're such good friends. Nobody even knows that. So she said, she said, it's 23rd. Okay. I said, yeah, we actually fit a date and we actually got a poster design. And I said, let's talk about down memory, but it shouldn't be like only we both are talking and audience has nothing to take. But we will just do some impromptu responding to music and that kind of thing. So that much only we decided. We just decided the thread, things that we wanted to tell. But I'm very glad that I did that. And
yeah. Are you happy about the response that you got from the viewers? What was their response? What was the feedback?
Yeah. In fact, I got some new followers and new fans who are in North India who would have never heard of me otherwise. For my dance, for whatever, I did a little bit impromptu, some sitting in Baitak style. I just moved, but I'm very pleased about that. And a lot of my friends didn't know about Gayatri, and I introduced them to Gayatri, the singer. So it's been a lot of fun. And this is your core. This is who you are, and I wish I did more, but yeah, let's see, organically. I can't say one a week unless I have something to say.
ലക്ഷ്മി, കൂടുതൽ ചോദ്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത എപ്പിസോഡിൽ വീണ്ടും കാണാം. ലക്ഷ്മി ഗോപാലസ്വാമിയുമായുള്ള ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിൻ്റെ സംഭാഷണത്തിൻ്റെ ആദ്യ പകുതി ഇവിടെ അവസാനിക്കുകയാണ്. കൂടുതൽ വിശേഷങ്ങളുമായി നമ്മൾക്ക് അടുത്ത എപ്പിസോഡിൽ വീണ്ടും കാണാം. നമസ്കാരം.